What's love got to do with it? What's the feminine got to do with it? Rest in peace, Tina Turner. All right, in this episode, let's get into it. Hey, sunshine, Malika here, answering the inner call. I just shared with you all, if you've been following the series, a whole series on intuition, of talking about the feminine energy, all these good things. And I wanted to bring it back to why this is important. What does this have to do with the call, if that was not clear? And I don't know if I explicitly said, but it can never hurt to say it again. The reason why I'm detailing the nuance of the feminine energy and the nuance of this big picture and broader perspective access of intelligence. It's a different form of intelligence, I'll say, because it's information. It's because that is the energy of which our calls come from, meaning that, like I said, the masculine energy is usually associated with our mental aspect, which is linear. And so when we get an intuitive, or we get, I'm going to call it an inner call, intuition and this, and the calls are not one and the same. I should call that out, and I'll talk about the nuances and differences in another episode. But what I'm getting at is that when we only value and listen to our linear, logical minds, and then we get an intuitive hit, we discard it. We don't value it. We may not recognize it. It's not talked about and nurtured in mainstream society. We may not even know what's happening or understand it, but that is the way that our soul and our higher self is talking to us and beckoning us forward. But if we don't recognize it, respect it, understand it, if it scares us, all these different things, then we don't have a context of which to receive that energy. And that energy is actually that energy, or those calls are your personal. It's like you're being, it's a receptive energy from a higher power. It's not of you. Our mental thoughts sometimes aren't of us either, because we're so impressionable with the media and doctrines and education. Like we get so much information impressing upon our minds that often our thoughts aren't even really originally ours either. And what is coming through from our calls, though, is a personal invitation to you from your soul. And your soul is generally considered a feminine energy because it's receptive, receiving an intelligence, receiving an information that is bigger than our individual self and perspective. It's receiving information from the divine, I'll say. And so when we don't value the receptive aspect, which is reflected in a lack of, which is reflected in a lack of valuing the feminine energy, because the feminine energy in and of itself as a quality is considered receptive, then we don't value and listen to these calls. And the whole point of this work is to articulate what these calls are and to support you, support me, support many of those in aligning with their higher self. That's the work. So, and that's the invitation. And there's so many benefits from doing that. There are gifts and abilities that our linear selves have no idea that we have access to and that we're capable of. Because maybe you've never written a book before, right? That's not in your past, so you don't think it's in your future. However, your soul knows more about you and your capacity than you do. And you might be getting a nudge to write a book and dismiss it because it wasn't in your past and you don't think you know how. And so we need more and more people that know how to connect to and listen to those calls and to share their gifts. And I'm going to get into in another episode why I have a 5-point system called, so you can be a shining star. And that's because we need people to shine, honey. We need people to share their light. And you know what else is present, or a dynamic of being a star, is that we're in darkness. And, sometimes on this earth plane, honey, with the things and shenanigans people are pulling, it seems to be getting dark sometimes. So we need people wherever you show up to share and shine your light. And that could be at the grocery store. There's no place too small or too big to shine your light. It all is purposeful and it all matters. So that is why I'm talking about the feminine energy and how it works. That is why I'm talking about also how it compares to the masculine energy. And then when we're in balance with those elements, then it's like we can receive the inspiration, the divine inspiration from through the feminine energy, and then we can carry out the physical work of it with our masculine energy and our willpower of doing what needs to be done and taking the actions that the call invites us to take in order to manifest and birth whatever that call is. So that's how it works. And like I said, we need both. And I'm just going to do, I think, one other episode to my brothers. It's for women also, but to my brothers, because I talk a lot about women. And I think that while I include everyone who is drawn to this work, it's important. And it's to listen to, like, my audience is not men, my audience is not women, my audience are those that are committed to their souls and to God and letting their light shine and fulfilling upon the purpose of which they were born. That's who my audience is. But I want to speak, I think, to the men in this next episode, to my brothers, to love on them a little bit, because we need them just as much as we need healthy men just as much as we need healthy women to carry out this work. So that is why I'm talking so much about the feminine energy. That is why I'm encouraging us to become more present to and to value more of the feminine expression, because then we will value and recognize these calls for what they are. Okay, I think you got it by now. I hope so. Much love, many blessings. Oh, and speaking of calls, I just wanted to put out there that I've been getting a call to, and I've been resisting it, to be honest, to offer at the beginning of the year to support a cohort of people that are ready to take that next step to answering their calls. And sometimes they can be very uncomfortable, the calls that we get, or they don't make logical sense. And so then we don't take action. And so this is a supportive space and container for a group of like-minded people at this particular time to be like, it's like a launching pad. It's going to be several weeks. We're going to laugh. Some people might cry. That's welcome too. But to really launch you into the fullness of who you are ready to be in 2024. I wish I could have said 2023 because that would have rhymed. But anyway, the link is in the description. To schedule an appointment to just have a conversation, just audio only via Zoom, to explore if this speaks to you, if this is the right time. I'd love to hear from you. Much love, many blessings, peace.